Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vakratund Mahakaya, Suryakoti Samaprabha, Nirvikhnam Kuru Me Deva, Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Welcome everybody to the Cafe Spirituality Wisdom Talk, and a lot of new people here. So I will briefly share with you what Cafe Spirituality Group is. We are a group of seekers, and we basically try and learn from all the ancient wisdom tenets that we can access and share it freely among each other. Uh, dare to disagree and agree. Um, a lot of it is Sanatan Dharma, but it does not mean that if there is anything to learn from any other tenet or aspect of life, we do. In fact, Vatsala here, who's going to do today's session, will vouch for it, that I've often keep quoting Kabbalah here from whatever little access I've had to learning from there. But having said that, Sanatan Dharma is the basis, and yoga, Vedanta, Tantra, we draw from the wisdom of all the ancient knowledge that we can, in our own way, get access to in a comfortable manner. Uh, we aren't very disciplined, unfortunately, but the emphasis is on cultivating discipline from within through understanding instead of imposing it from outside, where then one starts rebelling and starts feeling suffocated. So that is the idea of Cafe Spirituality. We have a WhatsApp group, we have a Facebook group, we meet in person as well. Now that COVID is over, we should hopefully have a lot more sessions where we all meet personally. But this is the Zoom sessions, the wisdom talks was something that we started during COVID. And once COVID got over, so did these sessions. But the other day, Vatsala was sharing something about a session she had done, and how she felt very nice sharing about it. And I found myself getting so excited about learning what she shared there. I said, let's do a session here now. And those of you who do not know, see, you're all friends here of Vatsala, so you probably already know her better than I do. But yet, let me do a formal introduction. She is a fellow ELSA. We are from the same college, though I'm much more senior to her from college. And she did her yoga. You did your yoga course from the Yoga Institute at Bombay, right? The oldest that there is.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of other people who have benefited greatly from their association with that institute, and it has had a transforming effect on their lives. And she's also a filmmaker. She's also been in PR. She's worn many hats. She continues to do that now. She is an evaluator, certified by Ayush, and I'm told it's a big deal to even be able to crack that exam and get that certification. So I feel very happy to share that with all of you. But I really don't know so much about the biodata of a person. And what I know about Vatsala as a person, in my interactions with her, she's one of the warmest people that I have met. She is so open, so giving. Giving is not just about giving gifts to somebody, or it is also about giving space to a person. It is also about sharing your understanding completely fearlessly. A lot of people I know who would know a lot but are reluctant to share because they're always worried, am I doing the right thing, am I saying the right thing? But fortunately with Vatsala, she has found that center in herself from which she shares fearlessly, and that makes her sharing so much more beautiful. And of course, she's very, very generous with her compliments. She gives her time to you, to listen to you, which is again, which is one of the best things that happens in our sessions, because she's present, and her presence is her greatest gift. And we are all very fortunate today that she's present here with us, and she's going to share more with us. So over to you, Vatsala.
Thank you, Anu. I'll also like to take this opportunity to thank Cafe Spirituality, because I have benefited so much. I think a lot of my inclination, a lot of seeking, a lot of my answers have got, answered because I have been a part of Cafe Spirituality and a book reading group. And Anu is an amazing, she really explains things so well, so clearly. So those of you who do have the time, do join the book reading. You'll really benefit from it. Okay, for today's topic, Panch Koshas. I'm a pretty recent recent journey, you could say, in this whole spiritual journey, an active spiritual journey. And I'm completely amazed by the wisdom of our ancient sages. Everything was so experiential. Everything was like they were not conducting autopsies on bodies or anything. They were literally finding the answers through tapaha, through inner questioning, through constant questioning, inner discovery. And all that information, we actually have it on a platter. So let's make the most use of it. One such theory is the Panch Kosha Viveka. As the name in itself says, Panch, which means 5, and Kosh is layers, sheets. Our consciousness has these 5 layers. So let me just share my my presentation with you to make things a little more clear. Is this full screen, Anu?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see these Russian dolls here? How one fits into the other. Just like that, we have these different layers of consciousness. It's a concept mentioned in Taittiriya Upanishad. And these layers are present in everyone. But each one of us is not really experiencing these layers fully. What happens when we actually, like, an onion, how we peel off an onion and layer by layer to come to the core of the onion. Similarly, when we peel off these layers of consciousness, we find pure bliss, our divine self. So what are these layers? The first layer, these layers move from the grossest to the subtlest. The first layer is our Annamaya Kosh. As the name is in itself, people who understand Hindi, the name in itself is self-explanatory. An is food, and May means to consist of, made up of. So Annamaya is a physical body, which is made, of the food that we take. The fetus gets its food in the mother's womb from the mother. The baby is made up of the food that we eat, grows up to be a man, and ultimately the person dies and the body goes back to the earth. So basically the physical body, Annamaya Kosh, all which contains our cells, our tissues, our organs, the entire system, which is nourished by the food that we intake. But is that really a true identity? Haven't we felt sometimes, as we grow, every birthday, I look at myself, I feel, They are just numbers being added to my age. But my physical appearance has changed. But somewhere I just feel I'm still the same person. But the body is constantly changing. So is that a true identity? Is that what we are? Most of us tend to exist at this consciousness level, identifying with the body. But body in its own cannot really function. What is that makes the body function? If we take a trending example, say of football, we have legs to play football, but it's the prana that is flowing within us, which makes our legs move, which gives us movement. And what is this prana? This is the bioenergy, the vital life force. If you take the example of a fan, there is a fan, but we need the electricity to make the fan run. Similarly, in every living, every living being, there is a prana that is flowing through the body, which is our energy body. But is this our true identity? Are we just our pranic body with, when we die, our breath stops, the pran goes away. Then what are we? There is another layer called the Manomay Kosh, which is our emotions and our thoughts. Emotions and our thoughts, which make us take the actions, which make us do the actions that we do. All our likes, dislikes, they all come under this layer. Above this, till these three layers, if you see, even animals are the same. What is that makes us human? What is that distincts us? It's the Vijnanamay Kosh, our intellect body, the layer of reasoning. And beyond this lies the Anandamay Kosh, Anand, the bliss body. So these are the 5 layers of our consciousness. Now, let me explain each layer a little in detail. Also, the practices that will help nurture each kosh. So if we see our Annamay Kosh, the food body, we've understood this. Anu, is that clear? Because I'm not able to see too much.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It's clear. It's full screen.
Okay. If we understand the Annamay Kosh, what a body is made of, and each of these layers, one more thing that I want to kind of clarify here, that each of these layers influence each other a bit. Annamay Kosh, the food body, our body is made of the 5 elements. Everybody knows that Panch Tattva, the 5 elements, your space, air, fire, earth, water. So what can we do to nurture this kosha, to stay in the best of health? Whenever this kosha is not balanced, we'll be diseased. We'll have aches, pains. Disease does not just mean some, like, diabetes or cancer or something very problematic. Even simple aches, pains, it means that there is this kosh needs to be nurtured. So one of the things which is very important, since it's the food body, is diet. Diet really influences how this kosha will be. The better the diet, the stronger a person's body is. And what yoga and Ayurveda recommend, the right kind of food, what you're eating, when you are eating, how you're eating, how much you're eating, all this has an influence on this kosh. So in yoga, mitahar is recommended. What is mitahar? Mitahar, there are four components to mitahar. One is that the food should be susugandhim, means light, sattvic food, um, easy to digest, little bit of lubrication. Today, modern science says, oh, too much of ghee, fat is not good. But our joints require lubrication. So that is why ghee in the right amount is beneficial for us. And that's one of the reasons why ghee in Ayurveda is considered one of the most uttam, the best food. So eating sattvic food, everything has an inherent energy. Whether it is food, it is our action, or it's our thoughts, everything has an inherent energy. And there are three kinds of energies. One is sattvic, one is rajasic, and one is tamasic. Sattvic energy is the purest energy. In terms of food, what would be sattvic energy? It would be easy to digest food, food that nourishes you, food that gives you the required energy. What would be rajasic energy? Rajasic is food that is not easy to digest, but it gives you a lot of energy. So a lot of protein rich food like rajma and all comes under rajasic. And tamasic food, which is what we are gradually moving towards, is processed food, food that is stale. So to nourish this kosha, our food choices should be tilted towards sattvic food. How much we eat. If we see, just let me, I don't like to see this. I need human faces to interact with. When we see old times, when bhikshus used to ask for food, they would always put their palms. They would take the dan in the palm, bhiksha in the palms, because this is how much you should eat. Once they used to get this much bhiksha, they would stop asking for food, because actually this is how much we should eat, the size of a palm. And what is the size of our plates? And we fill our plates up. So what we eat, how much we eat. There is also in Ayurveda, it's said that your stomach should half be filled with solid food, 1/4 should be left for liquid, and 1/4 should be left empty. And we eat till the time we are like, till the time we are not burping, right? So these are the things we need to be careful if we want to really nourish this kosha. What we are eating, how much we are eating, when we are eating. This intermittent fasting and all these things have become very cool words today, with dietitians recommending this, but they were always a part of the ancient lifestyle. People would not eat after sunset. The eating pattern would be in sync. Our entire lifestyle routine would be in sync with the cycle of the sun. But today we don't do that. So that's also one thing we can cultivate, making sure that we eat before sunset. Even if that is difficult, at least not have very heavy food during night. These are things, small things that can be done. And what else in food? So essentially, food that we eat, if we look at its quality, that we are eating fresh food, we are eating locally sourced food. There is a lot of information on food. As far as food is concerned, there is a lot of information, and somewhere a lot of we know it also, what is good for us when it comes to at least in terms of food. Then what else can we do to nourish our Annamaya kosh? Like we know that we are made of Panch Tattva, and any disturbance in other elements in a body results in an imbalance in a body. Any imbalance in elements results in imbalance in a body. And what are the 5 elements? If we take care of incorporating all these elements in our lifestyle, we will increase, like for example, earth element we can get into our life, of course, through the food that we take, but also spending time in nature, walking bare feet. Any contact with earth increases that element in a body. Similarly with water, 70% of a body is water. So drinking water regularly, bathing in water bodies. Even it's not possible for us to bathe in lakes, rivers, oceans. That trend has kind of stopped now, but at least even a swim in the pool, anywhere that we indulge in water element, it increases, balances out the water element. In terms of fire, sun energy is what will increase the fire element. Then space is basically our thoughts. So that I'm going to cover when we come to the required kosha, the energy of our thoughts. And what is the 4th element, 5th element? Earth, fire, I've taken air, space, jal.
Ether.
Space I took.
Ether.
You didn't say about
Fire, air.
Acha, air elements is thoughts. Just a second. Let me share.
Fast way. Fire, air, space, water, earth.
Air energy is our breath. Is basically our breath. And exercise, everybody, I'm not saying that you should do yoga asanas, but any kind of movement is medicine. So incorporate exercise in your lifestyle to balance this kosha. Sleep, often neglected. Sleep is extremely important. 8 hours of sleep, good sleep. Sleep is also the time that we actually experience a bliss body, because in a deep state. Annamaya kosh is the grossest layer, a layer that we can see, feel, the tangible layer. It is also the waking. There are 3 states: waking, dream, and deep sleep. So Annamaya kosh is our waking state, which corresponds to a waking state. So these are the few things that you can do for your Annamaya kosh. Now, like I said, like in Annamaya kosh, on its own, the body will not move. What gives body its vital force is the prana. The prana shakti, which is the energy layer. You must have noticed that some people are so naturally energetic, you know. We see the halo around enlightened people. That is the energy body. And it's something that all of us have. Our energy body, it's not only restricted till our physical body. Our energy body extends a little beyond a physical body. That is why when we meet some people, there is an energy exchange happen when people are together. And when you meet some positive people, for no reason, you'll just feel a certain surge of energy. You'll feel a certain positivity. Similarly, with some people, you feel some negativity. So this is why do we feel this? There is an energy body. And what is this energy body? Energy body is actually operating. There are these invisible energy channels in us, and there are almost 72,000 energy channels, which are within our body. And these are the energy channels which carry the prana to every cell, fueling every cell of a body. Wherever there is any disruption in the flow of prana, that's when diseases happen. And as you can see this diagram here, the main nadi, which is Sushumna nadi, it runs along a spinal cord. And there are two other nadis, Pingla nadi. There are 72,000 nadis, but these three are the main: Sushumna, Pingla, and Ida. So these nadis, Pingla nadi is on a right, it controls our sympathetic nervous system. A sympathetic nervous system is the one that is responsible, which gives us energy, which makes us active. It's our right nostril, and it connects to a left brain. The brain responsible for logic and reasoning. And Ida nadi, it's called the moon energy, the cool energy. It controls our parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest and digest. So the prana shakti, why is it important to nourish this kosh? Because if there is not enough prana shakti, a person will always be weak, will never have the energy to do anything, will always be lethargic. And how can we nourish, how can we increase this kosha, balance this kosha? Pranayam, through pranayam, which is breathing exercise. But now pranayam is also something that one needs to learn from a proper teacher, because we may undervalue, we may not realize that how much shakti the prana has. But it has been documented, and in fact, one of the principal texts of Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it has equated prana with a wild elephant, that when left open, it can create havoc. So prana shakti is also something that needs to be, if you want to learn pranayam, it's something you need to learn with a teacher and not through YouTube videos or just doing it on your own. But in case you don't even learn pranayam, what are the things that you can do? You can bring attention to your breath and just see what is the breath like. Because this is a very important kosh. How your pran is, it influences the kosha before it, which is your Annamaya kosh, and the kosha after it, which is the Manomaya kosh. So the quality of your breath, if suppose it is very heart-paced, it is very, it is short, it's going to have an effect on your health. It's going to have an effect on your emotions. So what can you do for that? You can ensure that you just sit quietly and equalize your breathing. Just breathe and equalize your breathing, equal number of inhalations, equal number of exhalations. What has happened today is that we might have evolved as human beings, but our response to stress is the same what the prehistoric man was doing. The initial response, what were the stressors for prehistoric man? The stressors were like really like maybe a wild animal. It had to, he was a hunter gatherer. The stresses were of a very difficult kind, more physical kind, where the person needed energy to be able to fight. or the energy to be able to for flight, to save himself. So that is why what happened, this is how the physical system worked, that all the energy was diverted to the limbs, and all the non-essential organs at that time, the supply was cut to them, like your digestive system or your reproductive system. But what has happened now, our stressors have changed. Our stressors are more mental stressors now. Some argument with somebody or work pressure. The stresses are very different, but our response is still the same. So each time we are stressed, there is more energy, our heart beats faster, our digestive system shuts down. It's okay for some time, but if constantly these stressors will continue, it's going to impact our health. And that's where your breath comes, plays a role. When you equalize your breath, you do away with these stressors. So it's important. Another thing is, we are wasting our energy a lot. Talking actually takes a lot of energy. Through talking, through our eyes, 80% of energy is lost through our eyes. But we are constantly engaging with the eyes. Even if there is nothing to do, we will take a phone and start looking at a phone. So to conserve our energy, talk when it is required, and sometimes during the day, you try this out. Try this out. I'm telling you, just shut your eyes for 2 minutes, not for a long duration. But when you're doing nothing, just shut your eyes for some time. It will recharge yourself. And one which is a priceless, what should I say, advice, or this thing which I learned from my teachers, and I will share with you all, is our posture. Because like I told you that Sushumna Nadi, the main Nadi, and Ida and Pingla Nadi, Sushumna Nadi runs along a spinal cord. And Ida and Pingla Nadi interweave, coil around it like a snake. So each time we are not, our spine is not straight, and we sit with a little hunch, because when we want to sit comfortably, just automatically our back tends to loop a bit. But when we do this, what we are doing is we are actually breaking the energy flow. So just by sitting straight, you're doing a world of favor for your body and for your mind. In our yoga class, when I was studying yoga, our teachers would constantly remind us, sit straight, sit straight, sit straight. And because it was constantly like a replay in the mind, sit straight, sit straight. Even when the classes were over, I would keep getting this, sit straight, reminding myself. And initially, I remember I had to remind myself at least 20, 30 times a day. And today, when I was actually doing, when I was making this PPT, I just realized that I'm not reminding myself anymore. And why is that happening? Because I'm actually sitting straight. Initially, what happens is, because we have not been used to it since our childhood, our muscles are not developed. And it becomes a little difficult to hold ourselves straight. But as you continuously do, what do you do when you're exercising and you want to develop a muscle? What do? You hold that posture for a while. I don't think there are too many men, but when you want to develop your triceps or biceps, what do? You hold those weights and you hold them for a while, and then you bring it down. So what are you doing? That holding part is developing those muscles. Similarly, when we just hold a spine straight, Keep reminding yourself through the day. And slowly, slowly, you will strengthen these muscles, and then it will become an automatic process. So be careful of your posture. That influences the prana flow. Another thing, another yogic technique that we have is of mudras. Mudra is also a very developed science, and an entire session can be done on mudras. But there are some mudras which by default, we all know. One is Jnana Mudra. This everybody knows, right? Where you just touch the tips of your thumb and your index finger and you sit. So this mudras also increase your pranamaya kosh. How do they do that? Mudras work like seal. When a tap is leaking, what do? You put some M-seal so that the water is not lost. Similarly, this is what mudras do. They work as a seal so that the prana does not flow out of your body. And there are lots of mudras, but some mudras are safe for everybody to do. One of them is this Jnana Mudra, and the other is Prana Mudra. Prana Mudra, the name itself, it will increase the pranic flow, the prana in your body. Would you like to know how to do Prana Mudra?
Sure.
So these 5 fingers.
You can remove the screen.
Yes.
लो भैया क्यों क्या हो गया क्या खाना
So Prana Mudra, thumb, and the last 2 fingers. Actually, each finger represents an element. So your thumb represents fire. Fire purifies everything. These 2 fingers, the last one represents water. You know, this is a typical symbol in India. When anybody wants to go to the bathroom, they would show this little finger. So that's the way to remember that this represents water. And where is water found? Water is found on earth. So this finger represents earth. So Prana Mudra is when you touch the tip of your thumb with this way.
It's FASEV, fire, air, space, earth, water. FASEV, fire, air.
This is fire. This is air.
Space.
How to remember it? It's the tallest finger. The middle finger is the tallest finger. Space is limitless. Space. So this is space. This is earth, and this is water.
FASEV.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it. FASEV.
Okay. What did you say? What was the word? Fast?
FASEV. It's acronym, no? FASEV.
Okay. So this is how you do Prana Mudra. And Prana Mudra you can do, you don't need to necessarily sit in meditation to do Prana Mudra. Whenever you're watching TV or you're just sitting like that, you can sit this. It will increase the prana. It will increase your prana shakti, the energy in your body.
So Vatsala, about the Gyan Mudra, I have a little different perspective from yours. I don't think it is safe for everybody to do, because this is fire, and just whatever you put to the tip of the other element, that element will grow in the body.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right? So if you increase the air element in the body and a person's anahat is not very developed, that person is likely to start getting anxiety.
No, Anu, when you are, the tip is to balance. This part is to grow, and this is to cut. This is to cut. When you want to cut any element, you do this. So when Vayu, this thing you want to cut Vayu, you'll do this. Yeah.
Right.
You'll do this.
But I have seen some people start getting anxiety because thoda air element grow hota hai, and they start getting anxious.
Grow करने के लिए हम लोगों को ये सिखाया गया है कि this is the This
True.
thing is to, and this is to balance. That is why that's why Prana Mudra, you are touching the tips, because it's going to balance. It's going to balance. And balance is safe for everyone to do. Balance is not an issue. See, Jnana Mudra, they must not be recommending for people with depression and anxiety, because their state is such that right now, if that increases.
So Gyan Mudra, basically, that's why Gyan Mudra is not safe for everybody, because somebody who's prone to depression and anxiety can become more anxious, because the air element, especially if the anahata is not strong, especially people who have any heart problems and stuff.
You cross-check this, because I think it's this is to increase. Jnana Mudra, Prana Mudra, Chinna Mudra are on the safe mudras, that which everybody can do. You can kind of, recommend them to do it safely.
All right. Thanks.
Another thing, why is this kosha important? Because you would have seen that this pranamaya kosh, how your breath is, influences your thoughts. If there is, let me just go to the next question. The next kosh is manomay kosh. Your mental and your emotional layer. So now what happens at the mental and emotional layer? Mental and emotional layer is made up of manas, which is a perception. All the 5 organs of perception. Then chit, our memory, and ahankar, our ego. Let me explain you with an example. Like, suppose you see a flower. So you perceive the flower. Through your eyes, you're going to see it. Your nose is going to get the smell. You're going to touch it, whether it is, petals are soft. If you've seen that flower earlier, your memory will tell you, oh, this was the flower that I saw earlier. It has a beautiful, fragrance. And your ego, I like this flower. So this is the kosha of all the likes and dislikes, all the thoughts and emotions. And this is a very important kosha, because in Ayurveda, it is believed that this is the kosha where the disease take birth, because it's your emotions that influence what your body experiences. This is the kosha where if you're constantly getting stressed, you're storing that stress. If you are anxious about something, you're continuously thinking about it. And you're storing that stress. And ultimately, that stress is going to affect your breath. And then, in turn, it's going to affect your Annamaya kosh. It's going to have an effect on Annamaya kosh, and it will result into a disease. So that is why this kosh is very important. To take care of this kosh is very, very important. But is that it's easier said than done? We get almost mind is never monkey mind. It's called monkey mind because of a reason. It's never empty. There are always thoughts, and we are prone to thinking negatively rather than positively. Most of the thoughts are negative. It's like so what can you do? Here you have to remember one thing. Pranamaya kosh the kosha between Annamay and Manomay acts like a bridge between Annamay Kosh and Manomay Kosh. So if you are able to control your breath, you will be able to change the state of your mind. So anytime you feel a little sad, little anxious, just take deep breaths. If you feel anger, you'll see this. पहले कहते थे जब कोई बहुत गुस्सा होता था कहते अरे पानी पियो पानी पियो. Why they used to say कि पानी पियो? Because the moment you drink water, for that point of time you are just thoughtless. There is this custom of holy dips in all religions. What happens in this holy dip? When you are गंगा में डुबकी लगाई है, सबने लगाई है, I think once in a while. तो गंगा में नहीं तो in maybe in some other river or lake. What happens is when we take a dip, we control, we hold our breath. And what happens in that breathless state? All the thoughts cease. And when all the thoughts cease is actually the time that you are in the complete present moment. So what are the different things that you can do to make your Manomay Kosh stronger? Because senses, are like that it will always pull you towards sensory pleasures. And sometimes that can lead to a lot of problems also. So this is where pratyahar, meditation, mantra chanting, even indulging in any kind of hobby helps. Whether you're cooking, you're painting, you're singing, you're dancing, you're so immersed in that activity that your Manomay Kosh is developing. Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga. What is Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti Yoga is complete devotion to God. Complete devotion to God. And Karma Yoga is when you are doing, when you are indulging in any act without worrying about its fruit. You are doing that act for taking that action for the sake of the action only. How will this help? See, Manomay Kosh is a kosh where of likes and dislikes. We are always tilting towards things that we like, and that has an effect on the state of a mind. If we like something, we are constantly wanting it. If we dislike something, we are constantly, wanting to be away from it. But if we let this kosh dominate us, we'll always be attached to the outcomes. And that's not going to lead to true happiness. So that is why we need to move beyond Manomay Kosh. And beyond Manomay Kosh, what lies? Beyond Manomay Kosh lies the Vijnanamay Kosh. This is the kosh which makes us different from animals. The first three koshas were all common in animals also. Vijnanamay kosha is the intellect, the wisdom layer, which helps us decide what is right and what is wrong. It's the layer of reason and wisdom. Interestingly, if you believe in the concept of rebirth, buddhi is also, this kosha is also what we carry in our next birth. So what can we do? How is this guiding us? Like, see, the basic things, I actually had a shloka. Just let me read it out to you. Ahar nidra bhay methunan cha saman met. Oh God, what is it? Ahar nidra bhay methunan cha saman metra shurbhir narayanam buddhihi teshamidhito vishesho buddhihina pashubhi samana. It means hunger, sleep, fear, and procreative instincts are common to man and animals. It is buddhi, the discriminating faculty, that is special for man. A person who does not have buddhi is equal to an animal. So many times there are things that we desire, but that may not be right. Say an example of simple, there's these nice white rasgullas with those nice juicy rasgullas with those saffron strings, and something that you would just want to completely finish the whole plate of, but you're diabetic. Now, if you were stuck in your Manomai kosh, you would gobble up the entire plate. But if your intellect, your Vijnanamay kosh was operative, then it would guide you that this is not good for you. So that's the simple difference. Taking the this thing of the football, which I mentioned earlier, like your legs would be your Anamay kosh. The ability to move the legs, to be able to play football, to kick the football, would be your Pranamay kosh. That's where it's getting the energy from. The desire to kick the ball and hit that goal comes from your Manomay kosh. But with how much force to hit the ball, which direction to hit the ball, that comes from your Vijnanamay kosh. And what are the things that we can do to develop this kosh? Meditation, a lot of जिसको कहते हैं स्वाध्याय, self reflection. There are lots of practices for self reflection. Journaling is one very effective practice. Then reading scriptures or reading any relevant books on the subject matter, whatever you want to specialize in. All these are techniques which you can develop this push. But why are we, what are we going to get once we have, most of us, whether we admit it or not, but most of us are experiencing life mostly at the Anamay kosh only, at the physical layer only. But as we become aware that there is more to experience life, as we experience these layers, all of it will help us finally experience our bliss layer, which is the Anandamay kosh. Actually, every day we are experiencing this layer. That happens in deep sleep. In the waking state, we are experiencing a physical layer. In a dream state, all the other subtle layers are operative. It is in the deep state, deep sleep, that are Anandamay Kosh, the bliss layer where there is sense of perfect contentment. It is thoughtless and you're completely there. Now, what will happen if what will happen when we experience this bliss layer? We are closest to Atma. We cannot say that Atma is beyond. It's not. It's beyond this layer also. That Vedanta has not defined, because it's not something that you can experience. It's just there. But this is what the koshas basically tell us. Anu, I'd like to take questions here, and after that I'll sum up.
Sure. I like this. You can't pour from an empty cup.
I have something to say to that also, but let me just take questions. I think it will be easier.
इसको हटा दो so that people can.
कैसे हटाऊं? ये देख रही हूँ. Just
stop share screen. Just stop share screen. That's
yeah. I had.
Yeah. So now people can ask questions.
I have one question. My name is Monali.
Yeah, Monali.
I don't know if my question sounds very silly or not.
No questions are silly, believe me.
Thank you. So you've said that humans and animals share the first three koshas.
Yeah.
That's the Annamaya, the Pranmaya, and the Manomaya. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I have heard from various religions also that it's not necessary that in our next life we will be born as a human being. We can be born as an animal as well. So then if I am a human being in this life, what happens if I'm born as an animal in my next life? What will happen to my that wisdom kosha? Yeah. So does it get stored somewhere? Because after that animal life, I can be born as a human being again.
Yeah.
So then what happens?
Yes. See, our sanskars are transported in the next birth. If you believe in this reincarnation theory, and if your karmas are so bad that you have to be reborn as an animal, then also they will be there, because the soul is there, right? So the soul carries those imprints with it.
Okay, but it will be subdued or suppressed. In an animal, it is suppressed. The
Vijnanamay Kosh, maybe you will not have the see, honestly speaking, if you see there are so many these days videos and all circulate so easily. There are so many videos that we see of animals where they actually exhibit this thing. Like if you see of some like some, say a bitch feeding some other species child. So I really cannot say this, but I do feel that it will pass on. I know you have something to add to it.
Let me try. So basically, there are humans which could be the human form, but the animal instincts can be so high in that person that person has to go through an animal experience and evolve more again to come back to a human. While there can be animals who, through their previous karma and the sanchit karma, can have the opportunity, life can provide them the opportunity, and they can give an evolved response, and therefore would evolve into a higher form ASAP. So जो आसन होते हैं हमारे अलग अलग तरह के, जो मत्स्य आसन है, और so अगर आपने जिस जानवर के नाम का आसन है उस आसन को सिद्ध कर लिया, तो फिर से उस योनि में वापस आने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. That is one, which is why asana is very important. If you're doing all those asanas, if you, for instance, have a certain kind of एंड इट इज ऑल्सो रिलेटेड टू जब प्राण निकलते हैं तो किस चक्र से निकलते हैं. जिस चक्र से प्राण निकलते हैं मतलब वहां पे प्रीडोमिनेंट थॉट्स उस तरह के थे उस मनुष्य के. तो मृत्यु के टाइम जब उसके प्राण क्योंकि उसके प्रीडोमिनेंटली थॉट्स वही उसी तरह के थे, उसी चक्र से उसके अगर प्राण निकलेंगे तो वो फिर उसी तरह के लाइफ टाइम, उसी तरह के लाइफ फॉर्म में जाएगा, क्योंकि उसके अभी वो एक्सपीरियंसेस कंप्लीट नहीं हुए हैं, उसकी वो डिजायर्स अभी कंप्लीट नहीं हुई है. सो द पर्सन विल हैव टू गो थ्रू दोज एनिमल फॉर्म्स in their subsequent birth to be able to have a fill of those experiences and not require them again.
Okay, right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pramod
That
has
was a good question, but that was not a silly question at all.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pramod has raised their hand. Pramod, आप पूछना चाहते हैं?
Namaskar.
नमस्कार.
And Vatsala, it was
That's my teacher.
interesting.
ओ
It was
नमस्ते. नमस्ते,
interesting.
हमारी तरफ से भी प्रणाम आपको.
नहीं, नमस्कार आपको भी. और like you explained कि किस योनि से निकले हैं, चाहे वो जानवर हो या मनुष्य हो, कुछ याददाश्त रहती है. और इसका एक सबसे अच्छा उदाहरण ये है कि अगर आपने रामायण पढ़ी है तो सुंदरकांड में हनुमान जी राम से पूछते हैं कि मुझे सबकी विशेषता बताइए. तो उन्होंने पहले जानवरों की विशेषता बताई और उसके बाद मनुष्य की. जब जानवरों की सुनने के बाद हनुमान ने कहा कि मनुष्य की क्या विशेषता है, वो श्री राम ने एक लाइन में बताई है जो कि जनरली बहुत ज्यादा मिसयूज होती है. वो है शूद्र गवार, क्या है,
पशु नारी ये सब ताड़न.
ताड़न के अधिकारी. इसमें मनुष्य में पुरुष की दिखाई है, स्त्री की बात नहीं हो रही है. कि जो पुरुष होता है वो ढोर होता है. ढोर किसे कहते हैं? जब जिसे हम कहते हैं ना हर्ड ऑफ एनिमल्स, जहां एक जाता है वहीं सब पीछे जाते हैं. और ये आप पुरुष का देखिए, एक लड़की अकेली जा रही है, दो जा रही है, अगर चार लड़के जा रहे हैं छेड़े बिना मानेंगे नहीं, बोले बिना मानेंगे नहीं. अगर एक लड़का जा रहा है, 10 लड़कियां भी जा रही हैं, वो मुड़ के नहीं देखेंगी उसको. ये पुरुष का है, वो ढोर है, उसकी बुद्धि में ये ढोर है. एक ने गलत किया, बाकी 9 के उसके पीछे लगेंगे. ढोर. गंवार. गंवार क्या होता है? आपकी भाषा. आप पढ़े लिखे हैं, आप क्या भाषा बोल रहे हैं? आप गाली गलौज करते हैं, माँ बहन की करते हैं. कभी आपने किसी नारी को माँ बहन या बाप भाई करते सुना है? ये वो बुद्धि, विवेक, जो भी कहना चाहे. ढोर, गवार. पशु. पशु क्या है? पुरुष होता है. जब उसकी बात नहीं मानो मन पुरुष की, तो पहले गाली गलौज होता है, फिर हाथ उठता है, फिर पैर उठता है, फिर नहीं मिलता तो डंडा, जो भी हाथ में आए वो सब चलता है. जैसे पशु अपने आप को बचाने के लिए पहले हुंकारता है, फिर अपने सींग मारता है. ये सब आते हैं. ढोर, गवार, पशु. शूद्र. शूद्र उसे कहते हैं जिसके विचार गंदे हो, जो गंदगी को अपने में समेटे रहता है या उसके इर्द गिर्द रहता है. गलत काम करना, गलत सोचना, ये है. जो ये बलात्कार वगैरह होते हैं, ये शूद्र जिसे कहना चाहिए ना मानसिकता है. और नारी को कब ताड़ना चाहिए? क्योंकि नारी को अपना विवेक रखना चाहिए. उसमें ये है कि जब आप अकेले हैं, आप कहीं जा रहे हैं या आपके घर कोई आ रहा है, आपको एक लक्ष्मण रेखा खींचनी है कि आप किसको अंदर आने दे रहे हैं. पहचानने की शक्ति रखनी है कि साधु के भेष में रावण होते हैं. तो नारी को तब ताड़ना चाहिए जब वो अपना विवेक खो देती है. तो दिस इज जनरली, आई मीन, यू हैव टू गो थ्रू अ लॉट. हमें ये बातें आती हैं क्योंकि हम बहुत जीवन से गुजरे हैं, मतलब बहुत तरह के जन्म लेकर आए हैं. तो हमें किसी ना किसी पशु की कोई ना कोई खासियत होती है जिससे हम सीखते हैं. जैसे आपने समझाया कि जानवरों में भी होती है. आप कुत्ते का सबसे बड़ा उदाहरण है कि वो मतलब इतना
The entire yoga
कि
is
अगर वो
actually based on animals. It takes postures,
हम्म,
and it's basically taken all what are the strengths of the animals, and the entire yoga
And it's
posture
not
is
just
based on that.
physical, it's also the mental
Yeah, so
and the
yoga has
attitude.
both physical and psychological benefits.
Psychological.
So yeah.
So we have to look into these and develop our senses. And I think from a young age, we have to at least put them on a mental level that they should think in a pure form. But it's interesting, Vatsala, keep
Yeah,
in touch
Didi.
and let me know whenever you're having these talks.
Sure, Didi, sure.
Hmm.
Anybody else wants to ask Dalila any question?
Jaya has a question. She's saying, when does the soul enter a pregnant lady's womb? Does it carry the previous birth memory at that time?
Soul carries a previous memory.
Actually, soul
And
can
not memory तो नहीं कह सकते उसको, imprints कह सकते हैं. संस्कार्स जो होते हैं ना, जैसे see, what is the
हम
thing?
सोल की जगह सूक्ष्म शरीर कहें तो बेटर नहीं रहेगा?
शरीर से तो ज्यादा होता है ना सोल.
और जो ट्रांसफरेंस होता है,
बॉडी,
वो जो ट्रांसफरेंस होता है वो सूक्ष्म शरीर के थ्रू ही होता है ना.
I don't know, to tell you very honestly, when the pregnant lady, I mean, it's not something that I know for sure. It's not an answer that I know for sure, but I know this, that the soul does carry memories of the previous birth. Memories not as in, though there have been instances where the past births, people have recalled their past births, but you carry sanskaras and vasanas of the past birth. That is why you'll see when babies are born, even if they are siblings and they are born in the same family, their likes and dislikes and their nature would be different. Every person's ability to learn is different, because somewhere you're carrying all that from the past birth.
प्रमोद जी जवाब शायद देना चाह रही हैं. प्रमोद जी.
That is why during pregnancy, what food you eat, what books you read, with whom you are associating with, what kind of a conversation you have, the family atmosphere, it affects the fetus. So we have to be very careful when dealing with a pregnant. I mean, she should be given positive vibes, where you have a healthy child, not just physically, but mentally also.
Yeah. Jalila?
Yeah, that reminds me of a question that I've been wondering about for some time. When you say, for example, a person dies, and at that very moment, another body is ready to receive the soul, right? So that's how the whole process goes on. If that's the case, then, well, the pregnancy is a sort of void. I mean, if I'm logically thinking, right? So I've been wondering about that, because if the body is ready, what happens to that fetus? Exactly what you just said before. That's why I'm just, it's maybe just an observation, not.
But it is believed that when a person dies, it's not necessary that the soul will immediately go and enter some other birth. Depending on its karmas, depending on its this thing, there is a possibility that the soul may be held also. It's not like that immediately the moment you leave another body, you enter another body. It doesn't work like that as per my knowledge. Anu, you have something to add to it?
Yeah, so actually that there is a period where you don't take a body and you stay at another dimension without a body, and you could actually be working out karmas in that dimension. And the fetus is ready to receive a soul somewhere around the 4th month, I think, 3rd or 4th month, which is when it is chosen to be the vehicle for the onward journey. And so it isn't like timed that you die here and you enter there. It isn't timed like that. It could take, and plus if you go by the understanding from, if you look at Vashisht Yoga and how it talks about the time perspective itself could be different, because of the level of that particular individual's entity's development. It might seem like 10 years to us, and it might just be a year for them. So it's a lot more complicated than the linear manner in which we see this process. And eventually, the thing to understand is that if you go by Vedanta, and if you go by what Ramana Maharshi says, all these are, this is all the play of at the mind level. You are already that. And then it doesn't matter. Then the characters are just manifesting as per the prarabdha. It's not important at all. So to get the mind to the level of being able to understand and assimilate the ultimate knowledge, all of this is important. But if we give it more importance than that and get very caught up in this, then we are actually playing more into the hands of the ego instead of being on the path of evolution.
That is actually how the Panch Kosha philosophy came about. It's basically in Taittiriya Upanishad, it's basically in the Bhriguvali, it's a conversation between Bhrigu and his father Varun. When each time he wanted to realize Brahman, that is the pure consciousness. And each time he would go to his father and he would ask, what is pure consciousness? He would say, go and find out, do tapa and find out yourself. So first he went, and it took him years to realize this, that it's the Annamaya Kosh. Then he said, again, go and find out. So through stages, first Annamaya he discovered that no, Annamaya on its own, it can't be. Atma by nature is all pervading, is undestroyable. But body is something that takes birth, and eventually with death it finishes. Then what is it that then he found out that it's the prana that fuels. That's how each kosha was discovered. And even when you say Anandamaya kosha, the bliss body, actually Atma is beyond that, which we don't know, because
which is why it's a kosha, because it is.
Yes.
That is why Anandamaya is also not the ultimate. It is a kosha.
Yes.
It is a layer.
Yes. So that's the whole. But even if even the Panch Kosha, even if we just see it at the level of health and wellness, we can use this philosophy just for our well-being also, if we understand this.
In fact, when you were doing pranayama and you were saying that, you should not do pranayama without a teacher. And if there is somebody who does not have access to a teacher, then there's a very useful technique that Osho has mentioned, where he says that just observe your breathing in the times when you're really happy and content. When you're sitting by yourself and feeling very satisfied, at that point, observe your breathing. And every time you're going through a trauma or you're going through a certain difficult time, just replicate your breathing pattern that you had observed when you were happy and satisfied and peaceful. That is the best way to bring yourself back to the state of peace. So if somebody does not have the good fortune of being able to learn from a teacher, they can be
from themselves
in this manner. Yeah.
But otherwise also, even if throughout the like every day, if we just take out some time and observe our breath and try to equalize our breath, just inhale for the same number of counts and exhale for the same number of counts. That also really helps eventually to calm down our breath, to bring it to a proper state. Another thing which I forgot to mention is belly breathing. Most of us are not doing belly breathing. If we do very shallow breaths. So if you just put your hand on your belly and observe whether your belly is inflating or not as you breathe in. Should I do it like you just inflate your stomach. The stomach, when you're inhaling, it should inflate, and as you exhale, it should deflate. This is belly breathing, this is a breathing which calms you down.
So any more questions from anybody? I think not. So, Vatsala, you can do your.
I hope I have covered everything.
This subject is so vast, you can't cover everything.
No, I mean something which could be, enough to arouse everybody's interest to know more and to at least look at themselves in terms of these 5 layers that each one of us has. Even if that is done, it's like my purpose is
You
served.
remember I was sharing with you that I have something to share on this subject, which
Yes,
was how I got. सो प्रमोद जी, आपको भी शायद अच्छा लगे सुन के, जब मैंने पहली बार ये सब सुना था और चक्रों के बारे में सुना था, आई वाज लाइक व्हाट इज दिस मम्बो जम्बो, how do I know I'm not being you know waylaid by getting into these concepts which are actually meaningless, because I can't see all this, I can't experience all this. What does it all mean? And I had a very unique experience. I got up one morning and I had seen something like a dream. Wait, there's a question from Manali. Let's first look at that question. Please, can you recommend a few simple and easy to understand books for beginners? Okay, Vatsala, you do that. Okay. So I woke up from a dream, and in which I saw somebody being stabbed, and I took I had a name on my Gita Sharma, and I was like, I don't know a Gita Sharma. I know a Gita Sarma and I know a Gita Shankaran, but I don't know any Gita Sharma. Anyway, I got rest. I lived in a duplex. I came down, I opened the newspaper at the dining table, and
Yeah, you told that. I remember.
And the
headline was something.
Headline said Gita Sharma stabbed to death. And I froze. I completely froze. I just picked up my breakfast and I went and sat in the car because I couldn't move. And I was getting late to work. And then I thought more about it. And I spoke to somebody about it and said, what else in the dream? So I tried to recall the dream. And the next day, and I said there was somebody called Gita Sharma was there with me, and she was showing me some house and she was saying, Ye Kumar hai. And the next day, the news was driver Kumar arrested for Gita Sharma's murder. And I can't tell you, I froze, said, what is this? How can this be? That is when the person explained about the Vigyanmaya Kosh and how actually the more subtle we get, we share these kosh. At the physical level, we are separate, right? Even at the prana level, there are times, you can feel a sensation. How is it that mothers know about the famous scene of Jaya Bahaduri waiting for Shah Rukh Khan coming into wo daud ke aa raha hai? How is it that the mother knows? Because their energies are so connected that at the energy level, she knows her son is approaching. So the more subtle we get, the more subtle layer of ourselves we go into through meditation, the barriers between people are dropping. Jitna barrier physical mein hai, utna kam pranic mein hai, usse bhi kam manomay mein, which is why it is important what kind of company we keep, what kind of groups we are part of, because all those thoughts are influencing our thoughts in more ways than we realize. So, Hanji Pramod ji, aap kuch kehna cha rahi hain? Please.
Yes. You see, we all have the ability, only we have to hone in that ability that we are on the same wavelength. Many a times you must have experienced, you enter a room and you know exactly what they are going to say because you are on the same wavelength.
Yes.
And this is done among siblings. You are able to know mother and child, with close friends. So this is this is dhyan. It is meditation. If you're able to do, you can see a lot, because I have met someone who's sitting in Delhi, described my sister's house in Melbourne. It was an experience I have never forgotten.
Yeah,
so that means you have to
so
meditate and go
into behind it is
time. You physically don't travel, but your mind travels. So it is possible, but only thing is getting up to that stage is not easy, because
also,
I have experienced certain things.
may not even be essential. I had asked for a sign that this is not mumbo jumbo and something like this is actually true. And this is the sign I received from life. I'm sharing it from that perspective, that you may start with disbelief कि ये सब क्या होता है, because we have in school we've been taught in biology that this is our physical structure, this is the stomach, this is the heart, this is the circulatory system. Now we are seeing something called Ida Pingla, we are seeing the various chakras, we're getting to know about various koshas, and the mind is programmed to not believe these things. The mind is programmed only to believe what we were taught as children as science, but actually all this is also science. And
there is this entire in the chakra system, the entire endocrine system. You can actually see all the major chakras are seats of major glands.
Absolutely. So it is through, when you understand that this is also science, then you are, and how do you experience science? Science is something you experience within an experimental thing. It is not just about philosophy, it is about science, which means you can experiment with it and you can know for sure through your experience that this is so. You know, gravity is experienced. Yes. So you know it exists. So similarly, these koshas, there is the way our ancient saints and seekers have explained, and as Vatsala rightly mentioned in the beginning, that we're very fortunate that they have given all this to us on a platter. And we need not go through reinventing the wheel and trying to discover it all by ourselves. But if we can study the scriptures where these things are already provided and use the techniques and the teachings given by them, we can actually bring about a big change in our own lives, in our own level of well-being.
No, there are siddhis which very few people have, but that means they have gone through a lot of meditation or whatever process, and then they reach a stage. Vatsala, I want you to talk to Aparna one day. She'll tell you what she experienced.
Monali has raised her hand. Monali, would you like to ask? She's already asked a few simple and easy to understand books which Vatsala will recommend, and maybe Pramodji too. Monali, please.
Thank you. What I'm about to narrate happened to me some years ago, and since we are talking about dreams and in seeing visions in sleep during sleep, so my question is, like, for example, Anuji said that what she had faced was because perhaps she wanted to see if it was all mumbo jumbo or not, and Pramodji said that is because it's connected to the etheric connection is there. What I had experienced with someone was not connected in any such way, at least I think so. I had dreamt this particular thing many years ago, that I was giving water to some person who was dying. Okay. And so the next morning I was pretty upset about it. And at that time, I think I was in my late 30s, 38, 39. So I had asked my mom that, I have had this dream and I'm feeling very uncomfortable about it. So do you think I'm responsible for somebody's death? That, like in Hinduism, they say that you give the last drop of the water to somebody who's about to pass away. So now my mom comes from a huge family. So she said, okay, fine, let me find out. So she asked around, and one of her aunts, I mean, that even a cousin aunt sort of, if there's something called a cousin aunt, but there's some person, like a lady like that, who had passed away that morning in her sleep or sometime early in the morning. And I was all shook up because I had met this lady, but it was okay, fine. She was my grand aunt. So it's not really that we would sit and chat and all those things. So if one of you could shed the light that why did I have this dream? Did I give her did I give her the water? Why did it happen to me? Why did I dream this?
Vatsala, you have a response?
So you give.
So it's not just about your connection, it is also about your level of receptivity. It's like you are tuned in into that channel. When you go to sleep, like Vatsala said, that we experience our bliss body, but there are also various dimensions, other dimensions that we experience depending on the level of uh, how deeply
Connected to the layers you are.
yeah. So it's about your receptivity at that point also. It's not, it could be that you may have shared, you may not have in the current lifetime shared a physical bond with her the way you probably share with your Masima and others. But they could be because we have been on these journey for eons, right? How many lifetimes, with whom, what relationship we have been in. There isn't really any way. There is no need also to know. Not that we don't. There is, we can know, but there's no need to know. But it's okay. It's the entire idea of this, all of this, is to come to that point of the beginning of accepting that we are not just this physical body. If we even allow ourselves to accept that much, it is a beginning of our spiritual journey in a deeper manner, because then we will think about वो जो भगवत गीता में व्यवसात्मिका बुद्धि डेवलप करने की बात होती है कि मुझे मोक्ष पाना है, वो मोक्ष पाना है वाला थॉट आएगा कैसे जब तक ये समझ नहीं आ जाएगा कि ये जो नश्वर शरीर है सिर्फ ये मैं नहीं हूं. Our belief about our bodies being the most important thing, that this is me, this body is me, वो जो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड है इस थॉट का हमारे ऊपर, उसको तोड़ना बहुत जरूरी है. और ये सब, इस सब से वो थोड़ा थोड़ा सा टूटना शुरू होता है. इसकी इंपॉर्टेंस एक्चुअली सिर्फ इतनी है, उससे ज्यादा नहीं है.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I think Rekha has written interesting session. Thank you, Vatsala and Anu. Jaya has a question. One more question, Vatsala ji. Can we know a soul's age?
No.
Age.
Yeah.
Soul is ageless, formless. This thing you can't.
Okay.
See, so many times I mentioned it also in my while I was talking about Annamay Kosh. That hasn't it happened with you as you are as you're aging in number? Your face might have changed. There might be more wrinkles and more this thing, but somewhere you feel the same. ऐसा नहीं लगता हर बर्थडे में मैं तो 50 साल की होने वाली हूँ. I still feel the same when I was 5. So it's like soul is, there is no age to the soul.
That brings us to that I amness that we feel. That is
Yeah.
our reality, and we keep thinking we are the body. We think we are this mind, but we are actually beyond that. वो जो I amness है हमारे अंदर की, वो क्या है? उसमें एस्टैब्लिश होने लग जाएंगे, फिर उसके बाद ऑटोमेटिकली देखना भी कम होगा, और प्राण वहां से भी कम निकलेगा और यहाँ से भी कम निकलेगा. और
Time and space is an experience of the human body. It's not an experience of the soul. Soul is beyond that.
yeah. ठीक है, फिर क्लोज करें क्या? Vatsala, you want to say some final words and then we can close with the mantra?
I want somebody to ask one more question, one last question. And it can be related to anything, if not Panch Koshas specifically, any other thing you want to know about yoga also, that is also fine. जैसे मोनाली का पहला क्वेश्चन था ना, I was not able to answer it perfectly, but दिल खुश करने वाला ऐसा कोई एक और एक दिल खुश करने वाला क्वेश्चन मिल जाए तो then we can close the session.
Oh, sweet. I think you all answers are perfect. Does yoga really open all the chakras? That's the question from Jaybal.
Okay, chalo. This is a good question. So, see, what are chakras? Chakras basically in your Sushumna Nadi, there are 7 chakras which run along the Sushumna Nadi, and basically wherever there is this intersection of Ida Pingala at the Sushumna, it's shown that if you remember the diagram, that is the house of one chakra, and each chakra maintains a certain aspect of your life, influences a certain aspect. So now suppose, say your heart chakra, anahat, like Anu had mentioned, if somebody has anahat chakra, should they do the Jnana Mudra? Suppose your anahat chakra is not open, okay? that means somewhere that heart chakra is closed means you're not that loving, you're maybe full of jealousy, you're full of envy. So what can you do to open that chakra? Yoga, pranayam definitely help, because when physically you're doing these asanas, then you are actually say targeting that area. They are asanas like, say, the camel pose. What is the camel pose called in Hindi? Ushtrasan. Ushtrasan. When you do Ushtrasan, I'm giving one example of one asan where it's called the camel pose. So you put your hands down and you're just your chest is open. So all these things, little simple techniques, they help your open your chakras, because what is chakras is actually a balance of your hormones, of your energies. When your chakras are blocked, the energies are not running properly, and that impacts your hormones. When you're doing these asanas, the hormonal flow is proper and your chakras open up. So both asana and pranayam help in opening your chakra. Anu, you want to add something? I think I've not been.
No, you're right. Definitely they do. So there are various ways to address anything, right? I'm reminded of, I don't know if any of you remember that film Utsav.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Rekha and Shekhar Suman. So the first time he meets Shekhar Suman and Rekha meet, and she's wearing this huge amount of jewelry, right? And he goes link by link and opens it, right?
And
so
she opens it. Yeah, I remember that.
So that is one way of opening it.
Yeah.
And the next time when she meets him, she just takes out one clip and it all falls away, right? So that opening that one clip and all falls away is when you're dealing with something from the understanding level. Because अगर आपने समझना शुरू कर दिया, सच्ची में वो ज्ञान होने लगा, तो आज्ञा चक्र है, वो आज्ञा देगा, वो आपके सारे चक्र खोल देगा. दूसरा है कि आप शुरुआत से धीरे धीरे हर चक्र को स्ट्रेंथन करते हुए, आसन करते हुए, प्राणायाम करते हुए, स्वाध्याय करते हुए एक सिस्टमैटिक ढंग से बढ़े. वो अब हर एक को अपने को समझना है कि what works for me. Some people need a discipline and a timetable to be able to work. Some people can do something spontaneously.
For chakra opening, like Anu just said that. So that is why, Om chanting was such a part of our ancient culture. Yes. Because Om, as if anybody knows about the vibrational energy, that sound carries a vibrational energy. And Om is the universal sound. Each time you chant Om, you are actually opening your third eye chakra. And like Anu just said, that Agya chakra, it's going to command all your other chakras to open up. That is why Om chanting was such a part of, the Indian tradition. Our old practices, if you see, all the old practices, they were very cleverly weaved into our everyday life.
Yeah.
To actually improve our well-being. Like, one thing I remember, Delilia, you might also know, because this is something that I learned in our yoga class. There is this whole thing of actually sitting down and praying after you've had a bath. Now, this was not like to turn you into some religious person, but the thing is, when you sit down and you slow down, when you sit down for prayer, and it was purposefully done after bath, because what happens is when you bathe, your heartbeat goes up, your heart rate goes up, and you're more susceptible to a heart attack or anything. So you need to systematically bring your heart rate to a normal level. So if after bathing you sit down and you pray, that heartbeat becomes normal. So they are not simple practices like praying before meals. We've almost forgotten that.
And the most powerful thing is mantra. Asana और प्राणायाम खुद करना पड़ता है. मंत्र खुद नहीं कर रहे, सुन भी रहे हो ना, YouTube पे भी लगा के सुन रहे हो, वो आपकी एनर्जी को इफेक्ट कर रहा है. Sound is affecting your overall energy body. So just being, that is why the company of saints, being in the company of devotees, of devotees, all that is so powerful. Yes, Jamal, mantras are really magic. They are.
And there are lots of other things also to open chakras. You have crystals, you have, all
Yeah,
all
but why
that
do
thing
I
also
mean,
can.
that's the point. Again, you should go back. If you lead with understanding, से मुझे चक्र क्यों खोलने हैं, मैं क्यों अज्यूम करके बैठी हूँ मेरे चक्र बंद हैं, जरूरी थोड़ा ना कि बंद हैं. It's also about developing the chakra as per what is it that you want from your life. Somebody might need to make a Mooladhara stronger. Somebody's Anahata needs to be strengthened. Somebody has digestive issues, might need to make their Manipur stronger. Some people, so that is again a complete, we can do 2 more sessions just on that. But you need to ask yourself, why is this? Why do I want to get my chakras open? What is it? What does it mean to me? Right? So yes, one
But
thing.
I can share a very interesting thing that I do for cleansing my energy.
Very good. Please share.
And it's very simple. Everybody can do it. And I do it every day. And I think it has helped me. So
Very nice.
So I just stand up, you just stand up, and what you do is, so you just stand up and you firmly and like do a scooping out action. Okay. So whatever you want to scoop out from your life, like I scoop out negativity, I scoop out fear, I scoop out anxiety. Believe me, this is a physical manifestation of what you want to do away with. And believe me, it helps. It's as simple as that. Every day, just like a scooping out action. Now, what are you doing? See, we get all our energies from nature, and nature is the one that absorbs all our negativity. So you are just scooping out and giving it back to the nature. You can spread your hands and take some energy from the universe. If you are into affirmations and all, you can say your affirmations like that. And my friends who are not into yoga and all, when I tell them, they laugh at me, but these are, I had always thought of one thing when I became a yoga teacher, that I'm only going to share things with people that I've experienced myself. So these are things that I've done myself and I have somewhere benefited from them. So I'm just.
So let me add to this. Once you've done the scooping out as Vatsala has taught, and you do the receiving as Vatsala has taught, now that you know all the koshas, spend a few moments after that thinking that all your koshas are getting balanced. Just say balance at every level. The Annamaya kosh, the Pranmaya kosh, the Manomaya kosh, the Vigyanmaya kosh, and the Anandmaya kosh. Just balance, just think of that. So this makes it a complete process. So you have taken out the negativity, once you've received something, right? It is not enough to receive it. It has to go to the right place. So when you think of balance, it will go where it is required.
That's a good thing. I'm going to add on from tomorrow itself.
So in fact, that can be, you can also sit in meditation posture and just think balance at every level. Balance, you can either just have one universal thought of balancing all the koshas, or you can go to each kosh and say, think of the Annamaya kosh and say, I'm balancing all the organs in the body, in the physical body are getting balanced. Then you can go to Pranmaya kosh level and say, okay, my Ida and Pingla are getting balanced. Then you can go to the Manomaya kosh and say, all my thoughts are getting balanced. So you can do it this way also. You can do it in a more detailed manner. You can just say, let everything, because the intelligence in this mechanism is astounding. I was kind of a non-believer till a certain age. And I just told you the kind of questions I thought. I use words like ye mambo jumbo, ye sab kya hota hai? That kind of a person. It is because of the wisdom from the ancient saints that I have had the possibility of experiencing a better state in life. And therefore, I'm so happy that I want to share it with everybody. And pretty much like Vatsala, experiential जब हो जाता है तो उसके sharing में confidence भी बढ़ता है. फिर बाद में तो समझ में आता है कि हमारे scriptures में जो उन्होंने share किया, उन्होंने experiential ही share किया है, तभी इतना powerful है. And then having tasted the goods, then you can trust more.
Yeah.
So we close?
Yes. Thank you, Anu, for the opportunity.
Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhaga bhavet. Om asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma mritam gamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnartha Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So thank you everybody.
Thank you Anuji, Vatsala, thank you.
Thank
बहुत
you,
ही अच्छा.
Sushila ji, for joining in.
अरे
अगला
इतना
सेशन हमारा सुशीला जी के साथ होगा लाफ्टर योगा का. डेट मैं कंफर्म कर दूंगी. आई होप एवरीबडी कैन जॉइन. And if you want to have more of these sessions, please write to us and let us know, and we can organize more of these. And such a lovely audience. I'd like to take you home and love.
मुझे तो बहुत मजा आया आज वत्सला. छोटी छोटी माइन्यूट थिंग्स, मतलब
Thank you,
कितनी
Sushila ji.
हम लोगों को कितनी जानकारी चाहिए कि आफ्टर बाथ हम क्यों पूजा के लिए बैठते हैं. सब साइंटिफिक है. मतलब सो मेनी थिंग्स. प्रमोद जी ने जो बतलाया, ढोल गवाह शूद्र पशु नारी, ओ वाव. मतलब एक एक छोटी छोटी बातें सुनते रहो तो कितनी नॉलेज है. और सबसे बढ़िया तो मुझे वो लगा कि स्कूप आउट हमारी सारी चीज. ये तो मैं अब शुरू करने वाली हूँ. बस आज ही करके सोऊंगी और कल सुबह से तो
Scoop
जरूर
out और
करना
उसके बाद बैलेंस.
बैलेंस. और उसके साथ जो अन्न में ऑनेस्टली टेलिंग कि मुझे है ना बहुत हैवी लगते हैं ये सब वर्ड. मैं बस सुनती रहती हूँ कि चलो
मैंने
कहीं
ना
तो मेरे
सुशीला
अंदर
जी
जाएंगे.
इसीलिए बहुत ज्यादा मतलब उसको ऐसा रखने का कोशिश किया पता नहीं
नहीं,
कितना
आपने बहुत
सक्सेसफुल हुए
अच्छे
कि
से
नहीं.
बोला.
कि
लेकिन
it
जब
was
अनु भी समझाती है ना, तब भी मेरे कई बार ऊपर से जाता है. लेकिन मैं हूँ हाँ सुनती रहती हूँ कि कुछ तो घुसेगा दिमाग में, इस छोटे से बुद्धि में, इसमें है ना कुछ तो घुसेगा. तो लेकिन छोटी छोटी बातों के साथ मुझे आज अनु ने जो समझाया कि स्कूप आउट जब करते हैं तो हमारा ये भी हो रहा है, अन्नमय प्राणमय कोश भी हमारा खुल रहा है और बैलेंस हो रहा है. तो मुझे समझने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. वो भी मुझे गाइडेंस अच्छी मिल गई. थैंक यू अनु जी. थैंक यू वत्सला.
okay. Thank
We
you.
will first stop the.
You have Monali's this thing, no, Anu, to recommend some books to her. Her number, her WhatsApp number.
No, I don't. Would you like to share right now?
You want me to share my number or will Vatsala ji be able to recommend?
हाँ वत्सला आप करोगे recommend कुछ?
हाँ तो बस मतलब के नंबर कुछ हो, मुझे देखना भी पड़ेगा ना उसके लिए. व्हाट
ठीक है. तो मनाली आप चैट में नंबर डाल दो.
Okay.
I'm stopping the live stream now. आप चैट में नंबर डाल दो. We'll message it to you.
Okay, thank you.
We can
Welcome.
stop the recording, Anu. I think.
हाँ recording भी stop कर रहे हैं.
Delilia, thank you for joining in. I know it's this thing.